The FOMC is a big two-day meeting. A lot of anticipation in the markets about what will the Fed do. What has the Fed learned? What has Ben Bernanke learned in his time in the big seat? Rex Nutting from Market Watch is here to talk about it. You have a column about this, Rex, today. Let's talk about some of this. Because
sure.
you point out, before he came in, he had this very famous speech where he kind of made it seem that the Fed's job is very easy, controlling the economy, making things go faster, slower. Hasn't proven to be that way, has it?
No, a lot of people have expected that the Fed would do a lot more to prevent the sort of depression-like conditions we've had. And they've been very disappointed in the Fed. I think the Fed has been disappointed in the rest of the economy. It really hasn't worked the way they'd like it to. And I think there are a couple of reasons, and one of which is politics. You know, the Fed is trying to push the economy in one way, and Congress is pushing it the other way. And even within the Fed is pushing it one way and the Fed's pushing it the other way because it's trying to get the banks' balance sheets fixed up, and that requires them to strengthen their balance sheets, but they really like them to lend that money out too. So there's a disconnect in the political sphere.
Yeah, and you see that a lot. I mean, all the different Fed presidents, the regionals, they're out there speaking, saying different things, and you get this it's almost like a tower of Babel, right? I mean, there's so much talk coming from them, you don't know what they're really thinking.
Well, I think that we have sort of a guidebook from Bernanke about what he would like the Fed to do, but he has only one vote on this committee, and he's got a few allies, but he really can't push things the way he probably thought he could when he first came in. It's a very delicate political situation, not only within the Fed, but also the congressional Republicans have been very critical of the Fed for being too stimulative. So he's really walking on eggshells.
Yeah. Let's talk about another point you bring up, which is bluffing. There's been a lot of bluffing on both sides of the ocean the last 4 or 5 years. This is a very dangerous game to play, right?
I think so. You know, part of what the Fed can do is communicate its intentions, and part of that is just words. You know, they're going to say, oh, we're going to keep interest rates low for a really long time, and that's supposed to actually have an effect on the economy because it changes people's expectations. But the critical thing is that those words have to be backed up. And, you know, we've seen many cases of where the words weren't backed up. Hank Paulson said he had a bazooka to protect Fannie and Freddie, and the market just rolled right over him.
Right.
And in Europe, we're seeing the same kind of thing. You know, Draghi comes out and says, oh, we're going to be fine. Don't worry, it'll be enough. Well, the market's saying, you want to bet?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That was just last week. The market is going to test him on that. You can guarantee it, no doubt. Let's talk about inflation for a second. This is obviously a huge issue for the Fed. Has anything changed in terms of inflation besides the actual level of it? Has anything changed in the Fed's outlook towards inflation?
Well, I think the one thing that's changed is that this slowdown in the rest of the world has really confirmed what the Fed believed about inflation over the last couple of years, is that it's not really an immediate problem. We're going to maybe bounce up to 3% or so, but we're not going to have a kind of hyperinflation, even though the Fed's balance sheet has expanded so much. So inflation really isn't a problem. Really what the Fed would like to do is reflate, which means inflation. They'd like to reflate the economy a little bit, and that would ease the pressures on deleveraging. Plus it would, you know, stimulate the economy and boost spending a little bit, which is really what we need.